Coraggio, it means that you are brave, but that you have fear in your heart. To be brave, you need fear. When I set a goal in my mind, I ran towards it. But the tiger that was in me was too much cuddled. So I needed to roar. Everyone thinks that being disabled is so bad. I need to change the society, but I don't need to change myself.
I have so many desires, but never my desire was to be without my wheelchair. Be and act how you are.
Just like you are.
Welcome to The Inner Wonder. I'm Alex and I'm your host.
Hi thinkers, I'm Alex and I'm your host. Today, with us, Sophia Jackie. Sophia is a person that we will discover together today, so I don't want to say much. But today, it's more than an episode. Today it's a promise. A few years ago, when I was discussing whether to do a podcast or not, and a bunch of other life decisions, I would consult Sophia. And in that discussion, Sophia was like, yes, bro, let's go, let's do it. But there was a promise that the first guest in the podcast would be this amazing friend, Sophia Jackie, from Sicily. We have to specify that. So I met Sophia when we were in the business school, studying our management masters. Sophia has, prior to that, graduated from Bocconi University in Milano, and is now working in a big company in the fast-moving consumer goods. But besides Sophia's CV, who are you?
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Can I say it? Malaka? Of course. Maybe you will search for it, what it means. But for me, it's an honor to be here with you, to have you in my life as a friend. And thank you for maintaining your promise. Am I? It's an amazing question besides what I have done. So who am I besides what my acts are? It's a very deep question, and I think I am, I would say, energy that follows a desire.
Where does that desire come from?
That's even more difficult. The desire, I think that us as humans, we are born with a desire or many desires that conveys into one big desire, and it's to tend to live our life to the fullest. And then you express this desire in many multiple ways. And it can be today to do something and tomorrow to be someone. But what really guides you is this desire to fully express who you are. And it can have multiple way of express this desire, but this is what drives you during your journey.
It's the energy every day to keep going, to live your life to the fullest and to be who you truly are.
Yeah.
And I think from my side, what I see in you is that you never stop.
Never.
The brain keeps going, keeps giving birth and birth to new ideas and new ways to be excited. What about those moments that you might feel a bit down, or you might feel that the energy might not be there?
Yeah.
How do you handle those moments and how do you go about those moments?
I think they are crucial. Everyone needs them. Because if a person is just too enthusiastic of everything, it means the person is not considering the reality.
Right.
There is a word that is in Italian, I would say, coraggio.
Coraggio.
Coraggio. It means that you are brave.
Have the courage.
You have the courage.
Yeah.
But this word, the etymology of the word in Latin, it means that you have fear in your heart when you do something.
Wow.
So for me, this moment when your energy is a bit down, it's because you have fear of reality. But to be brave, you need fear. And if you don't have fear, it does not mean that you're brave. You're not understanding what you're doing.
So it feels like those down moments, you approach them as a necessary refuel, like a gas
Yeah.
in the car to keep going.
Yes.
It feels like those down moments, you approach them not as disappointments or as setbacks, but more as the fuel.
Exactly. It's like a moment when I try to understand what is my next desire. I stop what is going on because in everyday life we maybe don't have the time. Personally, I always have this excitement to run towards my, and it's ironic. But yes, when I set a goal in my mind, I run towards it.
Yes.
So for me, having those moments where maybe I feel I'm not satisfied, truly satisfied, it's a moment where I question myself, okay, maybe should I change direction? Maybe there is something missing, can I work on it?
When you're talking about desire to run, to go forwards, you're from Sicily, proud Sicilian,
Yeah.
as I've mentioned at the beginning. It was a disclaimer, I should have mentioned that. But, and for those who don't understand, Sicily is a bit of a smaller community, and you grew up in a very protective environment, right? And I would like to maybe, if you can give us a little bit of words of how you grew up and how was it in Sicily and stuff. But you took the strength, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not the right word, maybe you took the desire and you ran towards it and you're like, I'm gonna go to Milano, where it's the best university in Italy, and I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna excel there.
Yeah.
And then you build your space in Italy, in Milano, and then you're like, I'm gonna go to Barcelona and I'm gonna do a master's in Barcelona because it's my desire and I won't let anything stop me. And then when in Barcelona, we had this study tour in Singapore. I'm gonna go to Singapore. Why not?
Yeah.
Of course, I want to understand, I think for the viewers it's very interesting, just a little bit the background of Sicily.
Yeah.
But the big question here is, how do you keep going on and you don't see the barriers that of course exist? It's a reality and you have to take a lot of things into consideration.
Yes,
Where
sure.
you go, and it's not a beautiful world, right? Where do you find the strength and how do you approach that?
So I will not tell you that I moved because I wanted to have a degree in Bocconi, because
Okay.
it's not true.
Okay.
I will not tell you that I moved from Milan to go to Esade because I wanted to do international management, because it's completely not true. So for me, I grew up in Jeddah, which is a small city close to the beach in Sicily. The city is very small. It's an environment where the culture is very protective, as I said. Everyone knew me there. I was the little child of everyone, let me say it like that. So I had a lot of love in my life. But still, the love was amazing. I felt so warm. This is the sensation when I think back of my past days there. But the tiger that was in me was too much cuddled. So I needed to roar. Actually, I'll be brutally honest in this moment. My family, no one has a degree in my family. So I could not consult anyone in my family to understand what could I do. I was very good at philosophy, at literature. So I thought I could study ancient Greek and become a teacher or something like that, because it was in my veins. But then I saw this other girl was one of my, and she is still now my best friend, I would say. And she had a bit more business mind, a bit more competitive mind. I was really competitive even at those time, but I had not the moments to express this other part of me. I saw she was applying to Bocconi and she was applying to all the best universities, and I was like, well, I can do it as well. Why should I think of staying in Sicily because maybe it's too difficult for me to move? And then I wanted to crack the system actually, because I thought, I know, and I am very self-aware. I am humble, but I have the self-awareness to tell you that I could do my best in every university. So I said, why not?
Why not?
Best Italian one, because there are many limits for me, there are also some benefits. So I said to myself, I can study whatever. I will study the one that I don't understand why people go there and spend so much money. For me was, I crack the system. I have the possibility to study everywhere.
Yes.
I will go there to understand. So I went to Bocconi. It was the best university ever in Italy in the rankings. So that was the trick in my mind to decide where to go. And it's fun, so I told you this. But then when I was in Milan, I was all good and it was amazing time. But I felt all my family moved. All my family moved from Sicily to Milan.
Milano.
It was not an easy move for them.
Of course.
My dad, I convinced everyone that was the right decision.
Yes.
I convinced not only my family, but as I told you, I was the kid of everyone in Jeddah.
Yes.
So I needed to convince all the city that it was the right direction to go. Then I was in Milan, living with my mom and my dad, and still I felt this need to explore myself, to who I am, without the conditions that are around me.
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to be independent, where independence has another meaning, of course. And even here, how I do it, I need to crack the system. I need to find a solution to achieve economic sustainability, and that's where the double degree project comes.
Right.
I was lucky enough to win this spot, but lucky actually is not the right word. To win that spot was the only one spot for Esade, for all Bocconi, for my course, of course. I worked hard. I get to know the names of the jury. I texted the jury person by person in LinkedIn, telling them why I wanted to go to Barcelona. It was not because I wanted a double degree. I didn't even care about taking a double degree. For me, it was a way to achieve my independence, my autonomy. So that's the desire.
Because in Barcelona, the big difference is that the family was not there.
Exactly. By following this desire, I took many degrees in the meanwhile. But it was not, the objective was not that.
I see.
The objective was to explore myself, my life, to get to know myself, because...
It's to grow, right?
Yes.
It's a journey of personal growth.
Yeah.
And it's not the destination,
No.
as the very famous say goes, right?
Yeah.
But for you, really, it wasn't the degree. It seems it was that independence and that belief that I can do it and I can grow while doing it.
Yeah.
This is incredible, Sophia. This is honestly incredible. And I would love if people could feel the energy in your face right now while you speak and you describe. This is beautiful. Sophia, in the Inner Wonder podcast, what we do is that in every episode we have a muse. And as you love ancient Greek mythology, understand it's a source of inspiration for something greater. In this episode, the muse is right here, and it's you. And together we will discover the muse that would lead to a wonder, our inner wonder. In that discussion that we had 2 years ago, it was one of those days you received an invitation to talk somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Sophia, this is so exciting. You're going to accept, right? And then you look at me and say, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I was surprised. And I was like, why? And then you said, I've never done these interviews in my life, that in the past when I was growing up, radios or TVs were asking you and you would say no. And you told me, why would I go in a place where people would look at me and say, I should be grateful for my life because I'm not like that. And look at her, she's so happy, given she's like that. I should be happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, at that moment, I was like, wow. It's a perspective I've never, ever thought about.
Yeah. So for me, as I told you, I lived my whole life amazingly. There have been down moments, but yeah, as everyone. When people ask me to go somewhere and talk to other people for inspirational moments, not like this one, but when the question is specific, it's we want to talk about disability and we want to use you as an example. This is exactly going to, I think I use this image even when describing you. When you go to a circus, you go to the cage and you see the elephant is different from you. I have never felt different from anyone. So for me, it was being disabled. It does not mean that I am different to you. Like for me, when I was a kid, it meant like I had brown hair and my friend had blonde hair. She was walking with her feet and I was walking with my wheelchair. So this is the kind of perspective I always had. So when I get this kind of question from external person that wants me to inspire, but what should inspire of my story? If you want me to tell you, I got a degree in Barcelona, and to do that I needed to do this fundraising and win all the funds, and it was so hard to manage people that were working for me actually, because for me being independent means having people around me that
Allow the
help
independence.
me. And this means that it's not an easy job to have people that works for you, but you're not only the employer, you're also the person that needs the care. So you have to be a leader, and you are the person that needs the care.
Right.
It's a double phase job.
Right.
If you want me to talk about my difficulties, to then tell, oh, if she did it with all the difficulties, then I should praise myself because I am better than her. No, I am not okay with this message. I don't think it's the correct one. If we want to talk about the difficulties, we should see in this a systemical problem that is urgent to solve.
Yeah.
Because there are many problems in this field of accessibility. Often minorities, disabled minorities, face hidden work, I would call it. Even to go to a museum, you just go to a website and you buy a ticket. For me, to go to a museum, first, there are only 5 spots. And I don't know how many disabled people there are that wants to look to go to a museum. Then you have to write emails, call. The procedures is very long.
Right.
And imagine all these little details for everything. It's a lot of hidden work. A work that it's not paid, of course.
Yeah.
And I fight many battles to solve these little problems.
Yeah.
It's a work. I put energy, I put time. And I try to solve things not only for me, but then I want people that comes later that find this battle already fought. So if we want to talk about the systemical problems that are there, I'm okay with talking about them. But this shouldn't, it's not inspiring. It just means that society is not ready to accept everyone.
I think there is a lot of value there. And even super small example, but even today when we were in the tram,
Yeah,
the ramp got blocked because some people were on their phones
yeah,
and the ramp blocked. And I understand we're all busy lives and they were on their phones. And I'm not blaming them because it's difficult to understand once you haven't tried to see
yeah,
the inner self of someone else. And the ramp got blocked. Someone had to unblock it, and then it's a process. It's a very small thing, but those small things happen.
yeah,
And we as society can do better.
of course.
And I want to take us a little bit of how we can do better in terms of mindset. Of course, there is a lot to do with the governments, but also the companies about how we can improve accessibility for disabled minorities, etc. But how about the mindset?
Yeah,
I see a lot of the times that maybe people would treat you like a kid, or they try to make you feel better, right? It feels like inherently they're like, oh, poor her, let me make you feel better.
you're not wrong. In literature, there is one term that is disabled infantilism, because there are, I would say, three main way of seeing disabled people. One is everyone thinks that being disabled is so bad that they want to make my life better when they see me just because I am disabled. So it's not something unusual for me to just do normal things. Like yesterday, I was in the supermarket. One lady came and kissed me. What's behind it?
She doesn't know you.
She doesn't know me, of course.
you.
Or, for example, I get from random people when I walk kisses or hugs, or people touch me because they think I need support, emotional support, because they think that disability it's something so bad that your life sucks in a way. It's not like that. Really, if all the difficulties, the systemical difficulties that I told you about would be solved, for me, being disabled would be really just a characteristic of myself. And I never in my life, really never had the desire, and I have many desires. I never desired myself not disabled. You know, when you dream in the night, your mind goes away and dreams. I never dreamt of me without my wheelchair, for example. And for me, it's interesting. But I love myself as I am. Just, I feel so good, you know? I don't need to change. I need to change the society, but I don't need to change myself. Because disabled people are thought as forever kids. They cannot take care of their own stuff. I'll tell you another thing that affects me in this period of my life, because I am now 25. I am having relationship, and even when I was a little bit younger, that affected me even more. The people that stay with me, for example, will be seen as an angel. as a guardian. Oh, so good, this guy that, in spite of her disability, is able to stay with her as if I am just a weight to carry. So when you see a person with disability, you just see the disability if you think this way. So yes, we can change our mindset starting from seeing the person. Sometimes I get praised and I get so many compliments just because I am disabled. But guys, you don't know me. Maybe I could be an asshole, which I am sometimes. Joking. But, or the other way, the most common, is that they think I'm just a poor girl and maybe they avoid to interact.
There is the way you would approach someone, and then what happens is that they either go on the extreme of
Yeah,
so much affection,
yeah,
or they go into the extreme of not engaging in
Yeah.
an interaction. I see. Sophia, I have a very stupid question.
yeah.
And the stupid question is, how would you want someone to approach you?
Very good question, actually. Just how you approach everyone. You approach person in different way
Of course.
because you interacting with different people. I have launched, by the way, a program in my company where I am working.
Another desire.
Another desire, because yes, the battles are a lot. And I finished to fight my battles in university because I finished university journey. So now I am fighting against the multinationals. Not against the side. And I named this project Così come sei. Just like you are.
Just like
Just like you are. It's fine. It's completely fine. You don't have to change.
me. Just
Approach
like
me.
I am.
Approach me just like I am. If you don't know, ask me.
That's a very important message, because oftentimes, not just in disability, also with all the political correctness and the world we're facing, many people remain silent just because they're afraid to say or do the wrong thing. Just ask me.
Yeah, just ask me.
Just ask me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Sophia, you said, I think it's the most beautiful thing. You said, I have so many desires, but never my desire was to be without my wheelchair.
Yeah.
This is an incredible attitude, not because of your wheelchair, but many people, everyone, not many people, everyone have things that they're inherent to them. I don't have much hair. For example, what I mean is that we all have situations like your nationality, where
Yeah.
you're born, that are just inherent, and oftentimes we try to put blame on that, or to say, oh, I wish I was not that. But you're not doing that. Your desires and your wishes are about the things that you want to change and you want to control, and you take ownership of your life.
Yeah.
In achieving this mindset, as you're the muse for us today, what has been your personal muse, your source of inspiration?
That's a very good question. I told you, I always been very much loved. And I think the person that loved me the most is my grandmother. She is a very powerful woman. And I'll tell you a bit of her story, otherwise we will have two muse here. But during the year 50 in Sicily, we are of course developing and the economy is growing, but can you imagine in 1950, 1960, it was mainly dominated by men. And my granny, without any schools, was taking money coming from the job of my grandpa that was working abroad, and she was an entrepreneur. She was buying and selling houses. She grew up 5 children. Always in her eyes, this fire. She's vibrant. and she transmitted me this energy. Of course, my desires are different from hers, but the energy is the same.
The energy for the desire.
The energy for my desires is the same of the energy my grandma has always had, and she still has now, because she's now 74, and she learned how to catch a plane to come wherever I am, in Spain, in Milan, wherever I am, and she comes. She's just like me, and I am just like her, and she's my muse. Yeah.
Sophia, I want to really thank you for taking the time to be here today. And I think the wonder of this episode is that we can all rethink the approach we have towards minorities that are unknown to us. Your minority here is a disability minority that's unknown to many, but there are so many minorities in the world that are unknown to us. And maybe the solution to that, I'll take 2 comments. One is be and act how you are.
Just like you are.
Just like you are.
Yeah.
And just ask.
Yes.
Just ask.
Just ask.
If you don't know, just ask.
Yeah.
And moving on from that, I think it's a wonder how you keep that energy for every desire, and that's impressive. And that's about personal growth and personal development this podcast is also all about. So as we close this episode, I would ask you to close your eyes, and for you thinkers as well, to close your eyes, and we'll make a small visualization. So Sophia, as you close your eyes, try to imagine you're being lifted. And from this area, now that we are in this apartment, you wake up in a very busy city. People come and go, they're going to work, they're going for lunch, they're going to restaurants. It's a very crowded city, and there is people of different nationalities, people of different sexual orientations, people from all over the world, different genders, and people with disabilities. And there you are, in that space, going to have lunch in your wheelchair. The only difference is that you don't have to go over destroyed pavements. There are always the ramps at the right place. People that don't need, they will not park in your spot. People don't just stare at you and smile for no reason, kiss you or avoid you. You go to the restaurant and the waiters are not stressed. Oh, what do we do now? And when you're there, if you're rude to the waiter is mad. If you're nice, the waiter is nice. And then you eat your lunch and then you pay and then you just go home and you work, or you're with your partner, with your friends. And now you wake up and you're back here in this apartment. And I just want to ask you, is it that difficult?
Of course it's not. But what we need one, to be aware that these difficulties are there, and many difficulties are there for other kind of minorities. And we need to be aware that when we think about doing something, in whatever position we are, in whatever role we are, if we are a policymaker, if we are a bartender, if we are an owner of an enterprise, we should think that we are together as a society.
We are together.
We are together in this world. And the decision we take have impacts on people. And sometimes I think this is the key. Because if someone reflects and is aware that his own decision will impact everyone, sooner or later will impact everyone. We will have better policy. We will have better everything.
Right.
We just have to think that it's our responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility to make the world more inclusive. We don't have to wait for the change to happen.
Right. Thank you, Sophia.
Until our minds meet again, enjoy the inner wonder you're creating. Thanks, everybody. See you next episode.